Sorry, I hadn't prepared for this. Um, I just really want to talk about moving forward. What's the plan? Like what we're going to do in the face of what has been revealed in the recent proceedings, and how we're going to solve these problems. What the best interest of the children really looks like, and how we can work together going forward.
Okay. All right, Katie, what do you want to add? Those discussions about the treatment plan and services. Um, I think that's it. Okay. All right. Can we start with how the kids are doing? And Vicky, maybe you can start with telling us how family time is going.
Family time is going really well. Um, I mean, always does. The kids are the kids are really excited to see me. Austin, Apollo, and Artemis, they run to me. I don't know what this whole incident about me having to ask my kids for a hug. Um, that was a one-time thing. It was a weird place. My kids run to me, and I'm pretty sure Alba will second that. Um, and everything's going really well. I would like to have more visits with my kids. The community visits with Austin are going excellent. We go to the library every week. Austin is just an intelligent little person, and he loves to read. I got him this circuit board set that's like a snap circuits, and I mean, I'll be like putting food away, and he'll already have another huge circuit like built and working, functional, and he's just such an intelligent person. Um, and so we've been doing a lot of like that, like robotics and electronic science and stuff at the library, and so it's going really well. I would also
Well,
like
now that
to.
the two.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I would also like to ask if I could have like a visit with just Artemis and Apollo, because the visits with all three kids are great. But the boys definitely bounce their energy off of each other, and I think it this there was like one visit recently that Austin was not able to attend, and I think it was a makeup visit, and it was just me, Artemis, and Apollo, and it was a lot more calm. It was a different visit. The whole environment was just calm, and I was able to have more like one-on-one time with the babies. And so I would just ask for like another visit where I could have the babies, me and the babies as well. So like three visits a week at least, one with me and Austin in our community visit, one with all three of them, and then one with me, Artemis, and Apollo. I think that's something that Katie brought up a long time ago that never actually happened because I never asked for it in FEM, so I wanted to bring that up.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Let's hear from you first and your perspective about how family time is going. Yeah, I think family time is going really well. Especially after Austin got, to have that privilege of getting out to the community again and just finding new fun things to explore. We're always working on, creating healthy boundaries, providing appropriate activities. There's an ongoing thing, there's here and there, just working on appropriate conversations. And then, yeah, I would agree that Apollo does talk a lot more when Austin's not there. It's just, that relationship that they have. But yeah, everything is going well. I'm not sure what, I think I'm missing something from the greetings. Um, but I would say Apollo, Artemis, and Austin do, like, when they get there, they run and go find her. Okay, and that it was a one-time incident where you had to request a hug, Vicky, you noted?
Right, that's something that Katie brought up as a reason why I've neglected or abused my children is because I had to ask them for a hug. So I just wanted to bring that up and say that was a one-time thing. That was because DHS is a weird place. It's not like that's never happened before. Right. So yeah, sorry, Alba, I didn't tell you about that. um, so
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And I am aware that the APR court hearing was 2 weeks ago, Vicky. Does that sound
mhm.
right? Okay. Has a decision been made yet from the judge?
No, we have to file closing arguments by the end of the day today, and then we're going to have 7 days to respond to them, and then the judge will make her decision.
Okay, okay. So with that hanging in the air, Katie, I don't know if you and the department, nor do we have the guardian ad litem here today, if you'll be able to answer the question of adding an additional visit, but as noted, that question is out there for today's meeting. I also presume that you want to talk about the treatment plan and services and other progress in those areas before we have that other conversation as well. So specifically, Katie, what are you hoping to know, or what updates do you have about the treatment plan? I just want to know what Vicky's doing besides visits. UAs are still set up with Love Agency, CGSD, and ProCon. She's been authorized to complete Circle of Security through Hilltop. What else? I'd have to look exactly at what else, but I guess I want to know. Oh, the department also authorized life coach through the Griffith Center, and I let Alba know that it was sent off. So I guess I just want to know what else are you doing, Vicki, that is specifically on your treatment plan, including the recommendations from the assessments. Okay. Yeah, Vicki, go ahead.
We'll have to talk about that because as things have come up during the APR proceedings, it kind of it made me refocus on some really serious things that DHS is going to have to take accountability for, whether formally or informally. Um, there's like there's this thing that's kind of looming that we're going to have to figure out before I'm going to like give deference. But of course, I'm going to my therapy because I need to do that, right? I'm going to see my kids because we need to do that, and we love to do that. I haven't found a life coach yet, but I think.
Alba, go ahead. Yes, on the life coach, it took us a second to find somebody to be able to do the service at Griffith Center, and so we actually I think we just got the off, Katie, is that right? Not too long ago, and so it's taken a second longer than, but it's on its way. Okay, so what is the next step there, Alba? Will someone reach out to Vicki once it's formally assigned, or does she need to follow up with you? The life coach will reach out to her, and then it will be virtual, as we've kind of talked about. I talked to Vicki already. But yeah, they'll reach out to her. And it sounds like that's something you're willing to do, Vicki.
Oh yeah, I would love a life coach. I think that's necessary. And then as far as the recommendations go, there, like I said, that there are issues with the Hilltop situation, and then I am meeting with a psychologist to get a second opinion on the PCIA. So we're going to be doing that. I'm going to pay for it.
Okay.
And then we'll get
So
recommendations there.
earlier when you said, other things on the treatment plan, that's something that we're going to need to talk about.
Mhm.
I presume that that's not something that you want to talk about today. You're going to get the second opinion, and that might open up more conversation in future family engagement meetings.
Correct. I have somebody who's authorized as a parental responsibilities evaluator who I'm going to be speaking with this week, so I will give you guys an update.
I got you. Okay, Katie, go ahead. I just want to note my concern for this last minute wanting to redo all of this stuff. We literally have TPR scheduled in the next couple of weeks. I don't find it reasonable of a time frame to be able to get that stuff done. Also, it needs to be done by a provider that the department approves of. So if you could send me that information, I would appreciate it. But as of right now, you are still going to be required through the department's viewpoint to follow through on the recommendations on the services that have been talked about for months now.
Right. And so I have a problem with that. It has to be somebody that the department is approving of. Does that mean that somebody that's contracted with DHS, somebody that DHS is paying, somebody who DHS has a influence? No. Okay, well.
The department can take a look at this provider, look at their qualifications. We could speak with Johnny or Joni here at the department as a service contractor to make sure they are qualified for the department to approve of, but we're not saying you have to do it through someone the department pays for.
Okay,
And the bottom line is this is at the court level at this point, you
well,
guys.
I just want to say, can I interrupt?
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. If you choose to, there you go, Crystal. If you choose to have a second opinion, then whatever information you gather from that, you can present in court. And Katie, your concerns are noted, as you stated earlier. It is late in the game, and there have been specific recommendations that you've been clear about for months that are on the court order treatment
Right.
plan.
I asked Robin Weisgerber a year ago. I asked Robin Weisgerber for a second opinion. Almost a year ago. Next month it will be a year. And so this is not something that's new. I've just barely come into some money so I can actually start,
Okay. And I presume that you're ready to make that argument in court.
Oh, yes.
Okay. You did mention that you are still going to therapy, and how is that going, Vicki?
It's going pretty well. I'm definitely taking what I'm learning in therapy and applying it to my life. Trying to just to be more mindful and of myself and of other people and situations. I'm trying to get like a perspective that's not purely subjective from my own point of view. I think, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you've repeatedly said this has been a really good fit, and so yep. I'm glad that that's continuing. Brian, what would you add for the team today?
I don't have a whole lot to add. I think Vicki continues to show up. She's doing the work. The last couple of weeks we've been, well, I guess probably the last 3 or 4 weeks I was out last week, but we've been focusing on her just getting ready for court and preparing for that. So it's been less directed towards kind of what we've been working on and more preparing for court because there's a lot of angst related to that.
As one would suspect, absolutely. I'm glad you have that support, Vicki and Brian. Again, Katie, Crystal, we don't have the GAL here, but with things hanging, is the department prepared to make a decision about an additional visit with the Littles at this time, or do we want to make a next step around that? I will check with my supervisor on the GAL. Okay. And Crystal, do you have a thought on that at this time? Yeah, I mean, we can't make any decisions without the GAL here, so. Okay. Can we then make a next step, Katie, for you to let the GAL know that that request has been made by Vicki? Again, the concern being that things are up in the air with the APR. Vicki, do you kind of have a time? Did the judge kind of give you an idea of when you might hear a response after you guys have your final arguments
in? No, I think the way that the APR hearings went was surprising. It was surprising to me what came out. It was surprising to me what inconsistencies were blatantly put on the record, and it was surprising to me the reaction that we had from the person who DHS is trying to give custody to. The things that came out in court from her kind of maybe threw a wrench in DHS's plan. So the judge doesn't want to go forward, obviously, without taking everything into consideration. It's probably going to take a little bit longer. Obviously, we should have had a ruling back on the 10th, but because of all of that, I think the judge wants to be careful and make the right decision. So we're kind of just waiting to figure out.
Do you want to get into the specifics about what was revealed that might put a wrench in the plan, or is this not the time or place to do that?
This probably isn't the time or place to do that. I'm usually like adamant about trying to bring this stuff into the FEMS, but because of what was brought up, I think there's a there's a time and place, I think, that's going to be put forth for us to bring all of that up. And yeah, FEM is not
And
the
with
place.
the concerns that came out in the court process, do you feel like you were able to voice your concerns about what was stated to the magistrate at that time?
To the judge,
The judge, rather, sorry.
no, everything that came out of my mouth was objected to, but what I was able to get out, I think, was substantial enough. Well, maybe not substantial enough, but it was substantial. So I I'm gonna do my best, and then we'll see. Because what came out of Krishana's mouth and the actions that she took, it kind of demonstrated that she's not necessarily uh probably the best person for the kids to be around permanently.
And is it fair to say that you can voice those concerns in your final arguments, and that's what you can do with your concern that you're noting today?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you can do with it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Katie, go ahead. I would just like to circle back around to the treatment plan and next steps for that, I guess. Besides the visits. Yeah. Let's go there next. Go for it. Katie? I just need to know what Vicky's willing to do or not willing to do, or what everything's authorized, so. Yeah, and that ties into. Sorry. No, you're fine. I just need to know what she's willing to do or not willing to do, or how we can bridge the gap to help her do it. As far as like the services go. That ties into your agenda item, Vicki, about wanting to talk about where to move forward from here.
Yes. So the services, obviously, I'm more than willing to do the services that need to be done, right? All of the services that are not necessary, or like nobody can bring to my attention, like why they may be necessary. Those are the things that I'm, questioning. And it's not that I'm fighting them, it's that I would like to know what specifically would help me as a parent to do these services. What exactly is the reasoning for certain services, like a drug and alcohol class, like UAs? I've taken lots of UAs. Apparently DHS doesn't know which UAs I've taken, because there were 3 other people's UAs that tried to be submitted into the case as my UAs, and they had positive results. I've never had a positive result in many UAs. I've got a bag full of UA receipts, and so it's like in the volume 7, it says like there has to be a reason why these services are being offered, why these services are being demanded of DHS. And so the services that I need to do, like therapy, like life skills, obviously visits with the kids, obviously case management, obviously managing my criminal cases, keeping safe and stable housing for my kids, getting employment, those are extremely important. Those are obviously, like, I don't have to ask why that's necessary, right? So the services that I'm doing as part of this reunification effort, they have to have some kind of reasoning behind them, and that's what volume 7 says. So that's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to argue that today is not the day to have that debate here. That has been a concern noted in previous FEMs, and the next step has been to address that in court. If you want the treatment plan to be altered, the judge ultimately can make that decision if those reasons that you presented in court are enough to say, these aren't needed. What's the reason behind them? So I'm not going to allow us to get into that today, since ultimately it's still in the court order. It's still in the court order treatment plan, and for any changes to be made with the treatment plan, that has to go through the court. Okay.
Right. So like recommendations is a broad and general term. So like they could recommend that I go skydiving or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's not in the court order, but yet DHS is holding it against my neck.
You're still concerned that there are things on the treatment plan that you don't agree with and you don't feel there's a need for you to do. Concern noted. Katie, go ahead. Yeah, I've had this conversation with you many times, Vicki, and if you want to know the reason why behind all of the recommendations, then please just reach out to the provider who completed the assessments. I've explained to you the reason why multiple times, so if that will help you understand the reason why, then that's great, but the department's still expecting those recommendations to be followed up on. They are in the treatment plan, just simply based off the language that you will follow reasonable recommendations. You have the ability to file anything with the court to change those recommendations if you want, but I'm really concerned that we are still having conversations that we've been having for months and no progress is
Katie,
being made with the other services.
Katie, I did reach out to the providers and they said, "Oh, I can't speak to you. It's ex parte communication." Literally, I can forward you these emails. I've tried everything, and it's always like a runaround or it's like a stonewall, and I cannot get any clear information out of anybody for anything, and it's really
Okay, so
like getting on my nerves.
Vicki, with the explanations that Katie has given you previously in regards to why there are those things on the treatment plan, do you
She
feel like
hasn't though.
what's that?
She hasn't. Um, she hasn't given me any reasoning.
And I feel like I'm going to actually challenge that a little bit and say that we do have these conversations frequently in family engagement meetings and why the department is still asking for those specific things that are in the treatment plan. So team, again, I don't know that I'm not going to really give energy into that conversation going back and forth today because of the previous conversations that we've had and that I've helped facilitate. And that ultimately we're at the level of, having these discussions with the judge in court and ultimately for him or her to make that decision. What I do want to know is what do you feel is needed in the relationship with the department, Vicki, to continue to move things forward? I do know that the meeting that you all had facilitated by my boss, Andrea, with DHS manager Hannah went really well, and it sounds like you all were able to air some grievances and make a plan to kind of continue to have a working relationship. That was less than a month ago. Do you still feel that you can continue to have that working relationship, Vicki?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can have a relationship with DHS as long as DHS is, frank and honest with me and open and not hiding things. I know that the meeting went really well. At least I feel like it went really well. And I don't remember Katie saying that she had to call law enforcement about that YouTube video. She did say that in court, and I just want to ask Katie if I could have that case number. That would be really awesome. That would be a good step forward for me.
I don't think I have it. Crystal, do you have it? It might be in one of the emails. I think I could find it eventually, but
if you could forward that to me, that would be great.
Crystal, yeah. Do you know a way? Do you know of a way to access that case number? I don't. I tried calling the officer back, and I never got a response, and I think Hannah did too, and I don't know if she got a response. So I've had no luck with that. Okay. We'll have a next step, though, for Katie to double check her emails on that and forward that to Vicki if she has it. The last agenda item is Austin's teeth, and I want to make sure that we have time to talk about that. So let's hear your concern there, Vicki.
Sure. Sorry. Let's see. There are a lot of concerns about that. I know it's hard. It's going to be kind of hard for us to tease that out because Stephanie Murillo is no longer with the department. And I'm not so sure if she's going to be willing to discuss that, informally. But Little Austin, on my visit with Little Austin last week on Tuesday, he started talking about, his tooth is going to come in, and I said, "Can we see?" And he showed me an Alba. It does not look like there is a tooth coming in. It's been like that for almost 2 years. In fact, I went over these dental records. There's 4 pages of dental records, which is strange to me. Should be a lot more if there's radiographs and stuff. They tried to say that there's a bunch of decay on his teeth back in 2023, and I went and found videos. I've got so many videos of my kids. Y'all know I record my kids all the time. I have videos of Austin like laughing for 2 minutes straight. I actually have a draft email that I should send out to everybody. I think Katie, you're included. I think Crystal's also included on there. And it's it clearly shows Austin's teeth. He had his baby teeth right before the kids got taken, and they were perfectly normal. There's no decay. Like teeth are very important to me. Right? There's no decay on his teeth. However, in these 4 pages of dental records, it said that as soon as the kids got taken, they got taken to a different pediatric dental specialist, and they noted a bunch of decay on his teeth. He needed a bunch of extensive dental work. They called me and they said, "Hey, can we fill your son's cavities, put him under general anesthesia because he doesn't like a dentist very much." I said, "That's fine." Without informing me, they decided to go ahead and remove his mesiodens. Apparently, he's got a supernumerary tooth in his front incisor. In between like his adult tooth and where his baby tooth was. So his baby tooth fell out. There was a mesiodens apparently. And then behind the mesiodens that hadn't erupted yet was his front incisor on the right side that allegedly had a bunch of decay. And so they took out his front incisor. He's never going to get that tooth back, obviously. Like they took out his adult tooth and this mesiodens. So I don't understand how a child can have decay in their tooth that hasn't even erupted yet through the gums. And so that is something that I'm trying to figure out. Donald Stearman has been responding with like 8 different kinds of letterhead on these letters that he's responding to me with, and they're just general. And I want answers. I want to know what happened with my son's tooth. Nobody ever told me. Nobody ever called me and said, "Hey, we're going to extract his front tooth." I would have been like, hell no. What are you talking about?" That was. I honestly think that there's some kind of malpractice on the dentist's perspective, but I just don't know because nobody's giving me any answers. And that is some huge, huge, huge problem. A huge problem to me. And Austin, on Tuesday, but he said, "Oh yeah, mom, the dentist said it was a tooth within a tooth and that my adult tooth is going to come in soon." They lied to him.
Katie, other than Vicky accessing the records, it sounds like you already have Vicky, although maybe it's not all of them. What can she do with the dentist office specifically, I think, to get more information? Do you know? Do you have thoughts? The department sent her the dental records that they sent us. They also called me last week at some point, asking what information that they could release to her, and I told them release everything. She's the mother, okay. So I would just encourage you to call them and talk to them with your concerns about that.
Right, and yeah, I just feel that kind of stonewalling. But I did note that the records that DHS sent me, so Hannah sent me the records that y'all have, and the pediatric dental specialist also sent me records that they have. They're 4 pages, each sent 4 pages, and they are incongruent. They're not the same. It's really, 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 really strange. I don't know what else to say. It's strange to me. I don't want to make any conclusions about what may or may not have happened, and I understand that it's probably going to be difficult because this was almost 2 years ago, and the caseworker who was on the case is no longer with the department. Probably can't even get a hold of her anymore. But this is something that we need to work together to get to the bottom of. This is a very serious thing.
And I wonder, I'm just kind of brainstorming out loud, and Tim, please tell me your thoughts too, but I'm wondering if Vicky's best bet would be to request like a sit-down discussion with a care manager at the dental office, bring in all the records, show the incongruencies between the two, and see if they have any explanation. I'm thinking the explanation would probably best come from them. Stephanie Merlo certainly would be the one to be able to explain, the difference in the records and why the dentist came to the conclusion that there was decay, because sometimes it's not just what you can see on the outside, but what's going on, deeper via x-rays, etc. Maybe the current dentist could sit down and explain the x-rays to you in detail.
Right, they didn't send me any of these.
Thought on it, unless, yeah, go ahead.
if Katie said release everything to her, then they should have released the radiographs. They should have released the X-rays. Like
Yeah.
I got 4 pages of words, and then I asked them like, "Hey, can I get the X-rays?" And well, it's crickets. So
So
I'm
I'm wondering if
suspicious.
after you requested the X-rays is when they called Katie and said, "Hey, what can we release?"
Mhm.
As you've heard today, Katie said, "Release it all." So maybe a next step is for you to call the dentist office back and say, "I know this phone call happened. I have everything. This is what I'm still looking for."
Right, and that's why I think that it's going to take a team effort to get this information from these people. I suspect that there is, like I said, I suspect there's malpractice going on. If me and DHS, like, if we can team up about this, it would help so much for Austin. It would help for my understanding, but it would help for Austin. And you guys are CPS. You guys are, have stepped in to protect my children. And more than ever, I need y'all to team up with me to figure out what the hell these people are talking about.
Well, so Vicki, other than Katie saying that they can release all records to you, what specifically do you feel Katie could do in addition to what I've suggested that you do to, number one, get a full array of records that you think you may not have? And then number two, to maybe talk with the dentist or a care manager directly. What do you need from Katie specifically?
Well, it wouldn't just be me at that point if it was me and Katie or me and DHS team coming together. Like it adds the government element to it, which I think would make them take it a little bit more seriously. That's how I feel. I don't know if that was really what would happen, but it's an approach that I would like to take.
Okay. All right, we'll definitely note this idea. Can we make the first next step that you call the dentist office and let them know that you do want all the records, including the X-rays?
Yes.
And you would like us to sit down with the dentist to specifically explain the X-rays?
Yes.
And then if you feel like you're getting the, getting stonewalled, then you can follow up with Katie and let her know what kind of barriers you're crossing.
Absolutely.
Or coming across, rather. Okay. Anyone else have any other ideas for the next step there? And definitely asking the dentist directly, since none of us are probably qualified to answer those kind of questions. Why it's taking so long for the adult tooth? Can they do another X-ray to see if it's actually up there? When they anticipate it might come out? I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that immediately once we get off the phone here.
Okay. Okay. All right. I would suggest that we go ahead and schedule another family engagement meeting, Vicki, for maybe 45 days from now. And if we don't need it at that time, we can certainly cancel. But I'd like to at least get something on the calendar.
Okay. Can we do it within 30 days?
Maybe the next step for myself to call Guardian Ad Litem directly to see if that date and time works for her. And if not, I'll send out some new possible dates and times, okay?
Okay, can we do it in 30 days? If it's necessary? Sure. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Alma, go ahead. I'm just thinking out loud a little bit because I don't know. I know that the most important thing for the children is consistency. But if we're looking for some more individual time with the two littles, I say individual, but just more without Austin there, maybe we could, I don't know, either start the visit a little earlier with the two littles, still just have the 2.5 hours, but maybe Austin joins in for the last half or for the first half or something like that. I know that's what I do with a couple other of my clients where just availability wise, they're just not able to be there the full time with school and stuff. So again, I know consistency is important, but just throwing that out there.
That's a really good idea.
Except I'm not hearing that Vicki wants to decrease any time with Austin at this point. That would mean a decrease of your time with Austin, Vicki.
Oh, I thought she meant because Austin's in school, right? If we could start the visit like an hour earlier, and then keep going till 6:30. So like Austin would show up.
And that would be adding, but like if we ended at 2.5 hours, he could join in for an hour or even the 2 hours. Just have 30 minutes with just the two littles. But yeah, if you're wanting to add, you definitely don't want to have less time.
Right.
If the department and the guardian ad litem agree to adding either an additional day or increasing time, are you able to accommodate either of those requests, Alba?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, it's never like adding tons and tons of hours, right? It's normally like 1 to 2 hours or another visit. I could definitely do that.
Okay. Okay. So we'll add to the next step that once Katie and Crystal connect on where things, hopefully there's a decision made about the APR that will help inform their decision. And they'll get with the guardian ad litem, and then we'll make a next step for them to follow up with you on that, Alba, ideally before the 30 days when we come back together, okay? Okay, I am looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Remind me when the TPR hearing is, Vicki?
It's the first week of April.
Okay. Okay, I'm wondering about bringing us back together at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, April 23rd.
That's good for me.
Hayden, do you know if Kelsey will be available that day?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
That won't work for me, but I can definitely send in a small paragraph or something.
And I just realized that won't work for Savannah either, so let me actually propose a different time. 11 a.m. Well, wait. How about 1 p.m. on Thursday, April 24th?
That's good for me too.
Hang on, I don't have your calendar pulled up either, Brian. It's not going to work. Okay, wait a minute. 2 o'clock on Thursday, April 24th.
That works for me again.
That should work. Okay. Alma?
That works for me.
Awesome. Okay. Again, I'll make sure that works for the guardian ad litem, and if not, I'll send out some new dates and times. Okay. Any final thoughts or questions, team?
I just wanted to say thank you for everybody for coming to this film. Sorry I was late.
That's okay. Thanks.
Schedule things a little
Have a
better.
good rest of your day. Take
Thank
care,
you,
everyone.
everybody. Bye.